The history of Spam, from war rations to global icon. There are some foods that, whether you love them or hate them, are undeniably familiar. Spam is definitely one of them. Once dismissed as cheap meat, few realized just how crucial this canned meat played a role in saving millions of lives during World War II, and how it transformed into a global cultural icon. Join us as we journey back in time to uncover the surprising secrets and stories behind this legend. The birth and challenging beginnings of SPAM. The story of Spam isn't just about a canned meat product. It's a testament to the resilience and ingenuity of Americans during their toughest times. To truly grasp Spam's significance, we have to rewind to the late 19th century, when an ambitious entrepreneur named George Hormel laid the foundation for his food empire. In 1891, George Hormel founded the Hormel Company in Austin, Minnesota. He brought his experience and vision from the bustling slaughterhouses of Chicago to build a meat processing facility in Minnesota. In those challenging early years to keep the lights on and cover costs, his company didn't just sell meat, they also traded in animal hides, wool, and eggs. Later, they expanded into dry sausages and gradually achieved significant financial success, especially during World War I. This was a period when the demand for packaged, easily transportable food soared, opening up a potential market that Hormel quickly capitalized on. However, the company's real turning point arrived in 1921, when George's son, J. Hormel, returned from the war in Europe. With a sharp eye and keen mind, Jay quickly uncovered irregularities in the company's accounting books. One of the most shocking discoveries was that the assistant chief accountant, Cy Thompson, had embezzled a colossal sum of $1,187,000 over 10 years. In today's value, that's equivalent to about $21 million. A truly shocking financial scandal. After this incident, Thompson was imprisoned. Many longtime executives were fired, and J. Hormel, then around 30 years old, was given significant responsibility in managing the company. This was the moment a new era began for Hormel, under Jay's innovative leadership. Under Jay's direction, Hormel revolutionized the meat industry in 1926 by introducing Hormel flavor-sealed ham, America's first canned ham product. Not stopping there, the company continued to launch spiced canned ham, the precursor to Spam, and canned chicken in 1928. But what truly set them apart wasn't just these groundbreaking products. It was Jay's ingenious marketing strategy. While George Hormel followed a traditional style with little emphasis on external advertising beyond stores, Jay had a more forward-thinking vision. He was determined to invest $500,000 in marketing, an astronomical sum at the time. Initially, George thought it was a crazy idea, but he eventually agreed, and this investment paid off handsomely. Thanks to extensive magazine and radio advertising campaigns, Jay helped the company navigate the challenging Great Depression in 1929. In the early 1930s, as America grappled with the economic crisis, family food budgets tightened significantly. The canned meat business was heavily impacted, forcing Hormel to seek cheaper products to stay afloat. One of the new products born from this context was Hormel Chili in 1936. In the same year, J. Hormel came up with another bold idea: utilizing less popular cuts of pork, specifically pork shoulder. Pork shoulder, though delicious and suitable for roasting or smoking, took a lot of time to prepare, so it wasn't popular with housewives and often remained unsold in butcher shops. Jay saw an opportunity here. He decided to grind pork shoulder, mix in a few spices, and create a new canned product, similar to canned ham, but much cheaper. Jay believed this new product would be a resounding success, but he still didn't have a name for it. He couldn't call it canned ham because it wasn't ham, and he certainly couldn't use a long, unappealing name like minced pork shoulder mixed into a block. So Jay decided to do what anyone would do when stumped for ideas: ask his closest friends. On New Year's Eve that year, Jay hosted a lavish party at his home, inviting friends, executives, and their families. As each guest entered, they were given a piece of paper to participate in a naming contest for the new product. Whenever they wanted more drinks, they just had to write a name on the paper and give it to the butler. Jay recounted, after about the third or fourth drink, they started getting creative. Finally, Kenneth Daigneault, a local actor and brother of one of Hormel's executives, came up with the name Spam. Jay immediately declared it the winning name, and Kenneth received a prize of $100, a significant amount at the time. Regarding the meaning of the name Spam, there have been many speculations. Some believe it stands for spiced ham, while others think it's an acronym for shoulder of pork and ham. However, Hormel has never confirmed any of these theories. They claim that only a small group of former executives truly know the real meaning of the name Spam. Whatever its true meaning, the name became iconic, and Spam officially launched on July 5, 1937. The introduction of Spam was accompanied by one of the most successful advertising campaigns in American history at the time. Radio stations across the country hummed with familiar tunes. Spam, 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 spam. Hormel's new Wonder Meat in a can. Delicious, time-saving. If you want something great, ask for Spam. This message emphasized the product's convenience and versatility. Spam could be baked, fried, sautéed, sliced for sandwiches, diced in eggs, served hot or cold. It appeared on every dining table across the country. Initially, when Spam launched, only about 18% of the American population consumed canned meat. But thanks to Hormel's aggressive marketing campaign by 1940, that number had skyrocketed to 70%. This success was further bolstered by another crucial factor. Spam did not require refrigeration, an incredibly valuable characteristic at a time when refrigerators were not yet widespread. Furthermore, it had a very long shelf life, up to 5 years after the production date, making Spam a perfect choice for stocking up. This not only made Spam a must-have product in every family's kitchen during the Great Depression, but also paved the way for its historically significant role in the future. Do you remember any foods that were your family's lifesavers during difficult times? Share your memories in the comments below. Spam in World War II, the hero of difficult times. When World War II erupted, Spam found its destiny, becoming not just a convenient food, but a silent hero that saved millions from starvation. Its appearance on battlefields changed the meal landscape for soldiers and civilians in war-affected countries, making it an indispensable part of history. In March 1941, 9 months before the United States officially entered the war, President Roosevelt signed the Lend-Lease Act. This act allowed the U.S. to supply food and materials to nations fighting against the Axis powers, such as the Soviet Union and Britain. In this context, the U.S. government needed a food that met strict criteria: easy to transport, no refrigeration required, and edible with little to no preparation. Spam, with its superior characteristics, became the perfect solution. It didn't take long for Spam to become a familiar part of American soldiers' rations. An estimated over 150 million pounds, about 75,000 tons, of Spam were received by the military before the war ended. Its near-ubiquitous presence on bases, especially in the Pacific region, led soldiers to give it many humorous and sometimes disgruntled nicknames. They called it ham that didn't pass its physical, meatloaf that didn't go through basic training, or sometimes special army meat. USO, United Service Organizations, comedians also frequently incorporated Spam into their humorous routines. Some soldiers even composed poems about Spam, showing how integral it had become to their daily lives. Jackson had his acorns, Grant his precious grains, Teddy his noxious beef could not purchase worse. The infantryman has heart failure without Navy jam, but armies march on their stomachs. And this army marches on Spam. Although welcomed for significantly supplementing daily rations, eating Spam continuously also made many soldiers feel fed up. By 1943, complaints about the quality of canned meat began to surface. One soldier even wrote a letter begging Hormel to stop selling their product to the U.S. government, even for just a week so his stomach could get a break. Hormel had to defend itself, claiming that the meat soldiers were eating wasn't the company's real Spam, as their 12-ounce concise wasn't practical for the military. However, soldiers rebutted, asserting they knew it was indeed Spam, with even images of a soldier standing in front of a pile of Spam cans. In reality, some Spam produced for the Lend-Lease program ended up with the US military, and the military ordered up to 150 million pounds of this product. Despite the confusion about its origin, all types of canned pork were generically referred to as Spam by soldiers. As Yank magazine quipped, "What's in a name? That which we call Spam by any other name would taste as foul." Spam didn't just feed the US military, it also reached war-torn nations facing severe food shortages. In the Soviet Union, Spam was known as Roosevelt sausage. In his memoirs, Nikita Khrushchev, the former Soviet leader, once declared, "Without Spam, we wouldn't have been able to feed our army." This underscores Spam's undeniable importance in maintaining the Allied powers' military strength. In Britain, due to severe disruptions in fresh meat distribution and processing by the war and rationing policies, Spam became one of the few meat products most people could access. Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher later even called it a wartime delicacy. Although food rationing in Britain lasted nearly a decade after the war, making people sick of Spam, it remained a vital source of protein. World War II and subsequent occupations also introduced Spam to Guam, Hawaii, Okinawa, the Philippines, and other Pacific islands. In these areas, Spam was quickly adopted by local populations and became a unique part of their culinary culture. For instance, when U.S. forces recaptured Guam in August 1944, they provided food to the Chamorro people on the island, and Spam was one of the main provisions. Locals integrated it into their diet, using it as meat for many traditional dishes. Even after the war, this continued, partly because the U.S. military had appropriated most of the agricultural land to build military bases, reducing the islanders' ability to produce their own food. Beyond being a food source, Spam was used in many creative ways during wartime. Soldiers used the fat from Spam to lubricate firearms and waterproof shoes. In places where U.S. troops were stationed, Spam was also smuggled out to local populations in exchange for other fresh foods. This quickly made Spam famous in Europe and Asia Pacific. Historian Rachel Lawton once noted, "Spam not only withstood harsh climates, but also survived months of storage." Spam's popularity in the military and worldwide was marked by the sale of its billionth can in 1959, and that number grew to 8 billion cans by 2012. These impressive figures not only show the scale of production, but also serve as proof of the widespread acceptance of a seemingly simple product that played a monumental historical role. In your opinion, what other foods have played such a significant role in supporting wars and shaping history like Spam? Spam and its changing status, from rations to culinary icon. After the brutal years of war, Spam underwent a spectacular transformation, from a wartime essential ration to a beloved culinary and cultural icon in many parts of the world. This shift wasn't just due to Hormel Foods' continued marketing efforts, but also Spam's ability to adapt and integrate into local cuisines. Immediately after World War II, Hormel Foods made every effort to change Spam's image. They didn't want the product to forever be associated with being cheap and convenient or poor people's food. To achieve this, Hormel pioneered an unprecedented marketing approach, turning Spam consumption into an act of American patriotism. One of the most notable initiatives was sponsoring the Hormel Girls. This group consisted of 60 former female military personnel, 16 of whom formed an orchestra. They toured the country, performing patriotic songs while also promoting Spam. Their show even aired on national television, creating a strong connection between Spam and American national pride. These advertising campaigns helped Spam become a must-have product at middle-class cocktail parties in the early 1950s. In the US, after the war, Spam's role shifted from a primary protein source to a side dish or ingredient in items like sandwiches and eggs. However, due to its relatively low cost, Spam sometimes remained associated with economic hardship in some mainland US regions. Nevertheless, it was still part of the diet for nearly 30% of American households in the 1990s, with consumption reaching 3.8 cans per second, equivalent to nearly 122 million cans per year. Spam production plants for the North American, South American, and Australian markets are located in Austin, Minnesota, also known as Spamtown, USA, and Dubuque, Iowa. In Austin, Minnesota, there was even a restaurant with a menu entirely dedicated to Spam, called Johnny's Spamorama Menu. However, the story of Spam's rise to power is even more impressive in territories and countries directly affected by World War II, where Spam has become an indispensable part of their cuisine and culture. In Korean cuisine, Spam has become an icon and a key ingredient in many famous dishes. Budae-jjigae, army stew, a spicy stew created during the war, combining canned Spam, sausages, kimchi, ramen noodles, and many other ingredients. This remains an extremely popular and beloved dish to this day. Spam kimbap, a variation of seaweed-wrapped rice rolls with a Spam filling, also a common dish for daily meals. By 2004, South Korea had become the world's second largest producer and consumer of Spam, second only to the United States, confirming Spam's special status in Korean culinary culture. The Philippines is another country where Spam became a cultural icon after the rationing period in World War II. Spam silog, Spam served with garlic, fried rice, and a fried egg, is a national breakfast in the Philippines, demonstrating Spam's widespread popularity in daily meals. There are even at least 10 different types of Spam available in the Philippines, showcasing the variety and affection for this product. China is also an important market. Hormel Foods has promoted Spam as a premium product there. To suit local tastes, Spam's recipe was adjusted to make the meat richer. Finally, in Japan, especially in Okinawa, Spam is a key ingredient in traditional chanpuru, a stir-fry mix, and also appears in onigiri, rice balls. Even the local fast food chain Jeff sells Spam burgers, showing the deep integration of Spam into Okinawan cuisine and lifestyle. Have you ever seen Spam used in any other unique dishes beyond those mentioned? Share your ideas with us. The Spam legend in Hawaii, endless love and non-stop creativity. Among all places in the world, perhaps nowhere demonstrates such passionate love and continuous creativity for Spam as Hawaii. The story of Spam on these islands isn't just about food, it's about history, culture, and the resilience of a community. Hawaii is the state with the highest per capita Spam consumption in the United States, consuming a staggering 7 million cans annually. Here, Spam isn't seen as poor people's food like on the mainland. It's affectionately called portage steak, or even the Hawaiian steak, a name that speaks volumes about the reverence for this canned meat. Hawaii's love for Spam began in 1941, just before the U.S. officially entered World War II. Pearl Harbor was then a crucial U.S. naval base, receiving imported food from the mainland. However, there was a major concern that food shipments might not reach the islands, so residents stocked up on cases of meat products. With its long shelf life up to 5 years after production, Spam was one of the best canned meats to buy and store, becoming an essential protein source during difficult times. Furthermore, the traditional Hawaiian diet primarily consisted of fish, but a series of U.S. laws before the war led to the collapse of the traditional fishing industry. Specifically, the U.S. government was concerned about the number of Japanese immigrants in Hawaii, and they began imposing restrictions on Japanese people's work and travel, including revoking their right to apply for fishing licenses. This caused a severe protein shortage in the diets of island residents, as most fishermen were Japanese. With the Pearl Harbor military base right there, it's no surprise that Spam flooded the market and quickly became an indispensable part of the local diet. After the war, Spam was no longer just an emergency food. It had deeply integrated into Hawaii's culinary culture. Islanders often fried and ate Spam with rice, but they also began using Spam to create many other local dishes. Some even made their own versions of Spam. One of Hawaii's most distinctive and famous dishes is Spam musubi. This dish typically features caramelized Spam, placed on a similarly sized rice ball, then wrapped in a piece of dried seaweed like sushi. The origin of Spam musubi is still debated, but is believed to have been conceived by Japanese-American entrepreneur and nutritionist Barbara Funamura. Following her son's advice, the first one she made was triangular, and its current shape evolved from the process of making packaged snacks. The popularity of Spam musubi has been widely recognized to the extent that L&L Hawaiian barbecue restaurants have chosen August 8th as National Spam Musubi Day. On this special day, the restaurant offers exclusive deals and fun activities, including free musubi and chances to win prizes. Some live events are even held at locations outside Hawaii, proving that the love for Spam isn't limited to consumption volume, but also to annual celebrations. For a traditional breakfast, island residents love Spam Loco Moco. This dish consists of, from bottom to top, rice, 2 slices of Spam, gravy, and a fried egg. Sometimes the dish is garnished with green onions, parsley, and tomatoes. Thanks to its rich flavor and hearty nature, Loco Moco can also be enjoyed for lunch and dinner. Additionally, Hawaiians use Spam in countless other ways on their menus, demonstrating an unparalleled love and demand for the product. Residents use it for kebabs, stir-fries, sandwiches, pizza, puddings, and even as a substitute for meat patties on burgers. What's special is that major fast food chains have also embraced and included Spam on their menus in Hawaii. For example, Burger King started serving Spam in 2007 to compete with local McDonald's chains, which also served Spam. McDonald's in Hawaii has Spam, rice, and egg breakfast. Meanwhile, Zippy's adds Spam to their Surf Pack and Zip Pack plates, as well as breakfast bento boxes, and offers Spam musubi plates. There are even special Spam varieties available only in Hawaii and Saipan, such as honey Spam and hot and spicy Spam. Another cultural tradition that Spam has shaped in Hawaii is the Waikiki Spam Jam Festival, held annually in April and May. This is one of the state's largest annual food festivals, attracting tens of thousands of people and restaurants that creatively use Spam in various ways over a 2-week period. Local chefs and restaurants compete to create novel Spam dishes, which are then sold at a large street fair on Kalakaua Avenue in Waikiki. This festival clearly demonstrates Spam's deep integration into Hawaiian cultural life. Austin, Minnesota, the home of Hormel, also proudly hosts the Spam Museum, which tells the history of the Hormel Company, the origin of Spam, and its place in global culture. Austin also hosts the finals of the National Spam Recipe Contest, with recipes selected from winning entries at 40 top state fairs. However, Spam's popularity in Hawaii also comes with an unexpected problem. In 2017, Hawaii was affected by a series of Spam thefts. Although Spam has long been a target for thieves in Hawaii, the scale of the thefts increased significantly, with multiple cases of entire cartons of Spam being stolen at once. Local retailers believe that organized crime was involved in these thefts. This situation emerged alongside an increase in thefts of other retail items like corned beef and liquor. The president of the Hawaii Retail Merchants Association attributed the rise in retail thefts to a recent change in criminal law, which raised the threshold for a theft to result in a felony charge to around $400. Spam's presence isn't limited to cuisine. It has also become a subject for many other cultural and entertainment activities. The Spamettes, a quartet from Austin, only sing about Spam in parodies of famous songs. They first performed at the inaugural Spam Jam Festival in 1990 and continue to perform at various events. If you could bring a traditional dish from your hometown and turn it into a globally beloved icon like Spam, what would you choose and why? Spam in pop culture, from film to music and entertainment. Spam isn't just a food, it's a pop culture phenomenon that has transcended culinary boundaries, leaving a deep imprint on film, music, and even how we communicate daily. Its presence in entertainment culture is clear proof of this canned meat's widespread influence. One of the most famous examples of Spam in popular culture is the Monty Python Spam sketch, which aired in 1970. This sketch is set in a dingy cafe where every item on the menu contains Spam, from egg and Spam, egg, bacon, and Spam, to Spam, egg, sausage, and Spam. Eventually, there are dishes where Spam is repeated so incessantly that there's almost nothing else. For example, Spam, 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 baked beans, Spam, 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 and Spam. When a woman in the couple admits she doesn't like Spam, a chorus of Vikings, also present in the restaurant, begins to sing loudly the refrain, Spam, 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 Spam. Lovely Spam, wonderful Spam. This relentless repetition of spam in the sketch became incredibly popular, and is the origin of the term spam used to refer to unwanted electronic messages, especially junk email. This concept was adopted by computer enthusiasts in the 1980s to describe any bulk email or message that people didn't want to receive to the point of annoyance, just like how the Vikings' repetition of spam annoyed the woman who didn't like spam in the first place. Spam continues to inspire comedic works in British and American culture. It appeared in shows like MASH, in songs by Weird Al Yankovic. For example, his song Spam is a parody of R.E.M's Stand, and of course in Muppet Treasure Island, where the high priest of the boars, pigs, led by Miss Piggy, is named Spam. This use of the name even led to an unsuccessful lawsuit by Hormel against the Jim Henson Company. Additionally, spam has been the subject of a haiku poetry book titled Spam Coup: Tranquil Reflections on Lunch and Loaf. There's even a satirical Church of Spam and a Spam Cam, a webcam showing a decomposing can of spam. In 2017, the Spam brand team launched the boy band All Off Work Spam in the Philippines as part of a new advertising campaign in the region. In Christopher Moore's novel Island of the Sequined Love Nun, spam is humorously explained as an acronym for Shaped Pork Approximating Man, a comedic explanation for its popularity among cannibals on Pacific Islands. Spam also appeared in the Top Gear Polar Special, when James May brought a can of spam to the magnetic North Pole and Jeremy Clarkson destroyed it with a shotgun. In the 2008 video game Fallout 3 and its later versions, a popular food item called cram, a canned processed meat parodying spam, is used as a health-restoring item. Hormel has also continuously innovated and released many spam-related products with different flavors, from spam teriyaki, spam jalapeno, maple-flavored spam, to Korean BBQ spam. There have even been limited editions like pumpkin spice spam, launched in September 2019, and spam figgy pudding, spam fruit pudding with brandy. The appearance of these unique flavors shows that spam constantly seeks to adapt and reinvent itself to maintain its position in consumers' hearts. Spam is also celebrated at special festivals around the world. Austin, Minnesota, Hormel's hometown, is home to the Spam Museum, which showcases the history of the Hormel Company, the origin of spam, and its place in global culture. Austin is also the venue for the National Spam Recipe Contest Finals. Hawaii hosts the annual Spam Jam Festival in Waikiki during the last week of April, which is one of the state's largest annual food festivals. The small town of Shady Cove, Oregon, also hosts an annual Spam Parade and Festival. The Spamorama Festival was an annual event from 1978 to 2007 in Austin, Texas, drawing a peak of 14,000 attendees. Themed events included a Spam Cook-Off, to contrast with Texas chili cook-offs, and Spam Olympics, which featured spam tossing and a spam burger eating contest, a 12-ounce patty on a bun. This event even made a comeback in 2019. As of 2019, Spam has consecutively broken its sales records for 5 straight years. Despite the growing trend of healthy eating from 2017 to 2019, Hormel's revenue increased by 3.6% to $9.5 billion annually. The group's profits also sharply rose to $980 million a year, with profit margins increasing from 9.2% to 10.3%. With the COVID-19 pandemic still complex, Hormel Foods is predicted to continue breaking records in an unstable 2020. From a product serving soldiers to a dish costing $40 at the most famous restaurants in New York, like the Spam fried rice with sea urchin and mushrooms at La Holiho Yacht Club, or the pasta with Spam and truffles at Narita, New York, Spam has certainly surprised countless investors again and again. Do you think Spam, with its history and widespread cultural presence, has truly become an American culinary legend? The health concerns and future of SPAM. Although Spam has become a global cultural icon and is beloved in many places, this food has not escaped controversy regarding its nutritional value and health impacts. Understanding these aspects is crucial for a comprehensive view of the Spam legend. The main ingredients of Spam Classic include pork, ham, salt, water, modified potato starch binder, sugar, and sodium nitrite preservative. What's unique is that Spam is pre-cooked in the can, making it safe to consume directly from the package. However, many still cook it further to enhance the flavor. The biggest health concern related to Spam lies in its high content of salt, sodium, and saturated fat. Sources indicate that one serving of Spam contains twice the recommended daily amount of fat compared to protein. The sodium content is also very concerning. One serving contains 1/3 of the daily recommended salt intake, and a regular 12-ounce, 340 grams, can of Spam contains the equivalent of 2 days' worth of salt. Excessive sodium consumption has been proven to increase the risk of cardiovascular disease. Furthermore, sodium nitrite, a common preservative in processed meat products, is also a concern. Some studies suggest that nitrites and nitrates may cause cancer, particularly linked to colorectal cancer. Although Hormel added modified potato starch to the recipe in 2009 to help absorb the gelatin layer that forms during cooking in the can, this doesn't affect flavor and makes the product less liquid. It still doesn't address the issues of salt content and preservatives. Spam is often considered a processed food. Generally, processed foods are recommended to be consumed in moderation compared to fresh foods. While it's better than having nothing to eat, health experts often advise choosing fresh meats and other healthy fats instead of processed canned meat products. Some even suggest eating Spam only a few times a week at most. Despite nutritional concerns, Spam continues to be popular and sell well globally. This indicates that its convenience, affordability, and especially the cultural and nostalgic value it brings have outweighed its health drawbacks for many people. Hormel Foods has been actively diversifying its products with various flavors to meet diverse consumer tastes. Besides the Spam Classic version, there are also light and lower sodium versions. Spam is also sold in smaller cans than the standard 12-ounce size, and there are even Spam Singles, individually vacuum-packed slices of Spam. In the future, the growing healthy eating trend may pose more challenges for Spam. However, with its rich history, iconic role in many cultures, and continuous adaptability through lower salt, lower fat versions, or new flavors, Spam will likely continue to hold its ground, whether as a nostalgic food, a versatile ingredient, or simply something fun to try. And so, we've explored the impressive journey of Spam, from a convenient product during the Great Depression, a life-saving ration in World War II, to an indelible cultural icon. Spam's story isn't just about food. It's about adaptation, innovation, and its ability to connect emotionally with millions of people across generations. We hope this trip back in time has brought you many interesting insights and memorable moments. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next nostalgic story.